Emily, hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Great, great. Thanks for joining us this morning. I've been working with my with school STCs lately. We've been resuming our virtual care visits with them, and I've been talking to my STCs. And one of the questions we talk about during our round one visits are, "Hey, how are things going with School Connects?" And I've been getting a lot of good feedback from them. They say, "Yes, we're using it. The whole school uses it. Our families are happy with the communication tools." So what I'm hearing from out there in the field is yes, it's going well. So thank you
That's
for
great.
joining
We're glad
us
to hear
and
that. Thank you.
yes, and letting us know more about it. So
Of course.
it is 9 o'clock. I will let you take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Let me just share my screen with you. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Emily, and I am part of the School Connects team that is working to support JCPS. So before I get started, I feel like I say this every week, but it's true, so I'm going to say it again. We are having such a great time working with JCPS. You guys have been such wonderful partners. Your staff are enthusiastic, your families are enthusiastic. It is clear that family engagement is something that's really important to you. And of course, this year more than ever, but we're just really excited to be partnering with you. So what we're going to do today is give you a little bit of a background on School Connects for those of you who haven't seen that yet. And then I'll show you what it looks like from both the parents' perspective, so you know what they're working with, and we'll go through some of the basics from your perspective. And then one of the things we wanted to spend the last few minutes focusing on today is how you can really drive activation in your classroom. So we will give you some of our tips that we have heard from some of our most successful teacher partners before we leave today. Okay, so School Connects is a comprehensive two-way engagement and communication solution. And what we really strive to do is to bring equity to your family engagement. So we do this in a few different ways, which we'll go over. But we really want to make sure that you can reach 100% of your families in their home languages and on their mobile devices. Okay, so I figured we would talk about how you guys all get on board. So we import information directly from Infinite Campus. We import your contact information, and then we also import rosters. So we import your school, grade level, and then class roster information, and we're doing that weekly. So as kids are changing schools or changing classes, especially while it's the beginning of the year, don't worry, you don't have to update any of that in School Connects. As long as it's in Infinite Campus, we'll pick it up, like I said, within a week, since we're doing weekly imports. So once you're in Infinite Campus, and therefore in School Connects, you can be sent an invitation. You as staff members will receive an invitation via email, because that's all we import for staff members. If you haven't received an invitation yet, I should have mentioned this earlier, but my colleague is here as well. She is in the chat window. So if you haven't received an invitation and you have any questions about that, there's a couple different reasons you might not have, but feel free to put a note in the chat. For guardians, they might receive an invitation via email if there's one for them in Infinite Campus, or via text message, as long as there is a valid cell phone number for them. If you have student accounts enabled at your school, which a few JCPS high schools have opted to do, if you have student accounts enabled, then they will be able to receive invitations by email as well. You can also print out an invitation that can either be sent to any user, or that you can use to help parents get on board if they have missing or incorrect contact information in Infinite Campus. And I'll show you how you can print out those invitations a little bit later on. Okay, so there's two kind of main ways to communicate through School Connects, and I just want to go ahead and talk to you about the differences between those so that you can figure out the best one to use to communicate with your families. So one of them is posts, and that's what you're going to see on the left-hand side of your screen. These are one-way kind of mass communication. This is you sending out information to your families. So this is going to replace flyers, replace emails. It's also just going to give you a platform to share information that you didn't have before. So especially if you're talking at the classroom level, you might want to share strategies that you're working on, or celebrate successes in the classroom. And before, you just didn't really have a place to do that. And you can do that through a post. So you're going to send them to any group. Like I said, we import your school, grade, and class groups, but you can create any additional groups. So you might want to create groups for, homogeneous academic level groups across your classes, or extracurriculars, anything like that. And so you'll be able to post news and events to those groups. You can include images, attachments, audio recordings, videos, and I'll show you how you can do all of this. Parents can read your posts, they can like your posts, but they're not commenting on them or anything like that. When you want to engage in two-way communication, you're going to use messages, and this is what's on the right-hand side of your screen. These are going to replace your notes, your emails, even phone calls home. It's just going to give you a really quick, convenient way to engage in two-way dialogue with your families. So this is where there's going to be a lot of relationship building with your families, and you're going to get to know and support your guardians really well. You can send these to any individual user or users. So if you want to send a message to both guardians connected to one child, or if you want to send a message to a child's guardian and the school counselor, you can do that. They can be initiated by any user. So if you have a question for dad, you can send a message to dad. And if he has a question for you, he can send a message to you. The nice thing about these is that it's two-way translation. So if you send a message to dad in English and English is not his first language, he can go ahead and translate it, even have it read aloud to him in his preferred language. And then he can dictate a message back to you in his preferred language, send it to you, and you can translate it back into English. So it really opens up the opportunity for, seamless two-way dialogue without any language or literacy barriers. Again, you can include a message. You can include an image rather. And then the only thing I will discourage you on for messaging is we do discourage large group messaging. Any group messaging is going to behave just like group texting. So again, if you send a message to a guardian and the nurse, it's a really nice way for the three of you to engage in dialogue. But if you send a message to your entire class, you're going to open up the opportunity for two-way dialogue, which you might not want with a group of 40 guardians. So just be aware of that and limit your use of group messaging. If you want to communicate with the entire group, that's usually going to be best in a post. If you want to post information and you need to hear back from parents, you can always say in it to message you. And then that's something that they would do individually. They would start a message thread with just you. Okay, so let me go ahead and walk you through what it's going to look like from a parent's perspective. Now, everyone who has a School Connects account has access to, sorry, I'm just trying to get my phone up here. Everyone who has a School Connects account has access to use both the mobile app and the web. So you can use your computer or you can use your phone. Same with a guardian. We're just going to look at it from a parent's perspective on the phone because that's where we find most parents use School Connects, and then we'll look at it from the computer for your perspective. But just be aware that everyone can use both platforms. So this is a parent who has our language preference set to Spanish. So for those of you who haven't activated your accounts yet, what you'll see when you do is that the very first step of the registration process is to choose your preferred language. So she chose Spanish. So the entire registration process was in Spanish. And now when she logs in, you'll see how she can access all of this in Spanish. So when she first logs in, she lands on her feed. And this is any information that's been posted to any group that she's a part of. So if she has a first grader and a third grader, she's going to get information from the school, from the district, from both of their teachers, but she's not going to get any information about preparing for middle school or anything like that, because that doesn't pertain to her. So that makes sure that this is a really very relevant, curated feed of information. Now we're just going to click on a couple different things so you can see what's in here. One of them is a news item. So I'm going to click Leer Mas, read more. And here is some information that her child's teacher posted out to her. You'll see she can click translate at the bottom, and it's automatically going to translate all of this. So there could be a parent sitting next to her who has their language preference set to Haitian Creole. And when they hit translate, it'll translate it all into Haitian Creole. So again, taking that responsibility off of your plate to handle the translation. She can also click Hablar to have it read aloud to her. And you'll see she can like this post. Of course, she's reading this post, but not a lot else for her to do. She's also going to see events in her feed. So if I tap on an event, here's an event that our administrator is having on Monday morning. She can right away see the link to the event if it's a virtual event. If this were an in-person event, then it would have a physical address and it would link to Google Maps. She can add it to her calendar. She can message the owner of the event if she has a question, and then she can RSVP. So a great way for you, from the person who's creating the event, a great way for you to receive RSVP information. And again, she can translate it, have it read aloud to her, all of that good stuff. And that is pretty much everything in her feed. We're just going to go along the menu bar at the bottom, and I'm going to tap on over to the directory. Here, she's going to see her child's name at the top. If she had multiple children, she would be able to tap on Michael's name and switch over to look at another child. But right now, we're going to look at Michael. And then under Michael's name, she sees all of the teachers who are affiliated with Michael. And this is going to give your parents a really, really easy way to contact you. We spoke to a lot of parents who said that, they have questions for their children's teachers, but they might not know their names or how to spell their names. So all she has to do is tap on the name, and you'll see that I can see the profile picture and everything. So we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but this is another reason where it's really important for you to add a profile picture so your parents can find you easily. And then she's just going to tap message, and it's automatically going to bring up a message thread. So she's going to feel like she's texting you, but you'll notice that no contact information was exchanged. And I can ask a question about my child. I can let the teacher know something important about my child. But again, a really easy way for direct communication. I can send it in Spanish, I can dictate it, and I don't have to worry about coordinating times with a translator or anything like that. So you'll notice that the feed by design looks and feels kind of like social media, and the messaging by design looks and feels like texting. So it's going to be really comfortable and familiar for your parents. Okay, now let's jump over and look at what it looks like for you. So once you have logged in, once you've activated your account, which means you received that email invitation from us and you're in, you can always go to our website to log in and just click this little login button, or you can go directly to cloud.schoolconnects.com. That'll take you right to the login page as well. So again, when you log in on your computer, the first thing you're going to land on is your feed. So again, this will be any information that you have posted or that has been posted to a group that you're a part of. So again, if any information comes out from the administration to your entire school, that'll end up here, or anything that you've posted. So to post news, all you're going to do is come to this little plus sign and click news. You can do the exact same thing for an event, but right now we're going to click news. Now there are a lot of optional steps to take when you're creating news, so I'm just going to kind of show you what's necessary and then talk to you a little bit about the optional things. Every post has to have a title, so we're going to say talking about characters. You can also schedule the post. If I click this box, I can choose when I want the post to go live. So if you're working late at night, which I hope you're not, but I know realistically you are, then you can schedule this to go out at a later date. When the post does go live, all of your families will get push notifications. So if you don't want them to all get push notifications late at night, you can go ahead and schedule it for later. You can also use this maybe every Monday morning. You sit down and set something to go out on Tuesday and Thursday, or whatever schedule works for you. You can use this so you know that you're communicating with your families on a consistent basis. If I don't check this box, then it'll just publish immediately. There's also an expiration date affiliated with every post, and this makes sure that everything in your parents' feed stays relevant, so they're not still seeing that post about the back to school project in November. It's going to default to 2 weeks, but you can change it to whatever you want. There's going to be an article image affiliated with every post, and this is not necessary, but it is something that we recommend. If you think about kind of what catches your eye when you're scrolling through social media, it's usually things with images. So go ahead and post an image for your parents. And if you are posting from your computer, then this can be any image that you've either downloaded from online or uploaded from your phone. If you're posting from your phone, you can go ahead and just add any image that's in your camera roll. You can add additional attachments. These can be PDFs or images. The only thing to be aware of is if you're attaching a PDF, we do not have access to the contents of it, so the contents of it cannot be translated. So if you want to add an attachment, either because you think it's a great resource for your students or you like the formatting of it, that is completely fine. Just make sure you go ahead and you copy the contents and you put it down here in the body of your post so that it can be translated. You can click here to make an audio recording, completely optional, and to be honest, not used very often. So we're not going to talk a lot about it today. I just want you to be aware that you can create an audio recording, and it can either go out to all of the recipients of the post, or it can go out to just a specific language group. So if you wanted to create an audio recording for your Spanish-speaking families, you could do that. Okay, and then this is the meat of your post. This is the body of it, and I have one typed up already. I just forgot to copy it. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to copy and paste this post. I can go ahead and format the text however I like. It can be as short or as long as you want. I can use this button right here to create a link out to an outside source. If I wanted to share a video with my families, I could just go ahead and paste the link to the video. So the YouTube link, Vimeo link, whatever you're using. If I paste that link anywhere in my post, it'll automatically be embedded in there. The only thing to be aware of with your language is if you do know that you have a percentage of your population that is going to rely on the translations, don't use really flowery language or idioms, anything like that, just to make for the most clear, concise translation possible. Then I'm going to select my recipient so I can choose exactly who this goes out to. So I'm going to click this gray Add Group button, and I can choose who this goes out to. So if you are a classroom teacher, you'll have all of your groups that were imported from Infinite Campus listed here for you. For the sake of this post, I would just go ahead and post this out to my class. But I do want to show you that you'll also notice I have some other groups here. I have Girls on the Run, I have reading groups, I have other extracurriculars. I have my entire school. If you want to post your entire school, that's completely fine. Just be aware it's going to go to an administrator for approval first. Then I have some role types here at the bottom. Now, if you are in a school where student accounts are not active, you don't really have to worry about these role types. They will determine which roles within your group this post gets published to. So if you're in a school that has student accounts, you might want to post some information to just your students, and you might want to post some information to just your students' guardians. So again, if you're in a school that doesn't have student accounts, you don't really have to worry about this step. But if you do have student accounts, you just want to make sure that you check the appropriate boxes. I can go ahead and click Add Groups when I'm done. If I want to set up a reminder to go out that connects back to this post that goes out in a week or so, I can do that. Maybe I'm posting, way ahead of time about an assignment that's due in 2 weeks, and I want a reminder to go out in a week, and then another reminder to go out 2 days before it's due. I can go ahead and set those up right now so I don't have to think about them later. Again, completely optional, but it is there for you. Once I'm done, I can go ahead and click Preview, and if it looks good, I can publish it out. And all of my parents just got a push notification to their phones letting them know they have this new news from me, and I am good to go. So there were, like I said, a lot of optional steps in there, but if you think about it, all I really had to do was add a title, add information, select my recipient groups, and click Publish. So it can be super, super fast, especially once you get used to it. If you want to post an event, it's the exact same process. There are just a couple other bits of information. The date and time of the event is here, and then the location. So again, it's going to default to your school's address, but if it's a virtual event, I can just click Virtual Event and then put the link to whatever the virtual Teams or whatever platform you're using right here. And other than that, it's going to be the exact same information. I'm going to go back to my feed, and I want to show you how you can find out who has read and liked your posts. So for any post that you yourself have published, I'm just going to come down here and click Read More. And then I'll notice there's this little eyeball icon. This is one feature that right now you do have to access from the web. You cannot do this from your phone. But if I want to see who's read it, I'm just going to click this little eyeball. And I have all of my guardians listed here, and I can click these little arrows next to read to see who has read it and who has liked it. Now, so far, I'm the only one who has read it because we just published it. But hypothetically, you'll see these little green check marks next to anyone who has read or liked your post. So that's really good feedback for you so that you know, especially if it's really important information, you'll know who else you have to follow up with. Now, under your feed, you have a few other tabs that relate to it. Any saved posts you have, any archived posts, any drafts, any posts you have pending approval. We're going to continue making our way down this menu bar. We're going to skip over messages for just a second and head down to the directory. And I want to show you a few different things you can do here. First of all, it's a directory, just like any other directory. So I can get information about my guardians, my students here. Just as a reminder, you will be able to see your guardians' information here, but when they look at it, they will not be able to see your contact information. So there's also this last access column, and this is what I want to look at right now. This will show me when each of the people in my school community have last logged in. So anyone who has a date next to their name has logged in. So Michael, for example, here has a date next to his name. He has logged in. You'll notice when I hover over his row, this little gear icon appears to the right. And if I hover over that, I have some options. One of them being to message me. So for anyone who has activated their account, I can send them a message from here. Asmahan here does not have a last access date. She has never activated her account. So when I hover over her gear icon, I can't message her, but what I can do is invite her. So if I click resend email SMS invitation, as long as she has a mobile number or an email in here, she just received an invitation. If her child's in my class, I can also print an invitation letter for her. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so you can see what that looks like. And this is a really great way for you to help parents, like I said earlier, for whom there is missing or incorrect contact information in Infinite Campus. So what it's going to do is it's going to give me the code that she needs to activate her account and the last name that's on file for her, because those two things need to match for her to activate her account. So if you are calling a parent or doing a home visit, I don't actually physically have to print out this invitation letter, but this is going to give me access to her code so that I can give it to her so that she can activate her account. And the nice thing is that once she does that, then she'll be prompted to add her phone number and add her email address and all that good stuff so that I, not only have her contact information, but have access to her in School Connects. So that is how you can print out an invitation letter for just one guardian. Now, the directory is also a really good place for you to come if you want to message your students' guardians, but you might not know their names, which we completely understand. You know your students' names, but not their guardians' names. So I'm going to use this search bar at the top, and I am going to search for one of my students. I want to message Scott's guardian. I'm going to click this little arrow next to his name, and both of the guardians affiliated with his account will come up. And let's say I want to message Jeff. I can come over here and send him a message. And then you'll notice it just popped me over here to this messages tab. So now it's going to bring up my entire message thread that I've had with Jeff, any information with him. I can send him another message. So if I know the name of the person I want to message, I can come directly here to messages and respond to a thread. But if you don't know the name, like I said, if it's a student's guardian and you don't know the name, you can do that directly through the directory. Okay. I'm going to jump down here to this groups tab, and this is kind of where we're going to spend the rest of our time together. So this is where I'm going to find all of the groups that I'm in. Any group with a flag icon is going to be a group that you own. So that means that you either were imported with this group from Infinite Campus or you created this group. So a couple things I want to show you. Let's look at Mrs. Matthews' class. So if I click on her class, it is going to give me a little snapshot of how School Connects is being used in my class. So I can see how many messages were sent in my class, how many posts were created, how many activations there have been. It's going to tell me a little bit about some of the posts I've created. So again, it's just going to give you a little snapshot of how it's being used. Now you'll notice that there are kind of these little gear icons everywhere, and under them there's a number of other things I can do. One of the ones I want to look at today is view member activity. So this is going to show me each of my students when they've last logged in. And again, for most of you, that's going to be never. And then each of their guardians and when they have last logged in. So what I'm looking at right now is a really very, very strong class. I can see that almost all of my guardians have logged in. Of course, this is a demo class. I know you'll have a lot more students in your class. And while I would love for every single guardian to log in, what I really want to make sure I have is one guardian for each student. So I have that here, but this is kind of like a dream situation. What you can do from here is you will almost certainly have some students who it says never for both of their guardians. And what you can do is you can kind of take that into your own hands here and you can invite them. So if I come up here to this gear icon, I can send email or SMS invitations. And I want to send them to my students' guardians. If I click this button, it's going to confirm what I want to do, because hypothetically you're sending these out to 40 guardians. I'm going to click OK, and then those email or SMS invitations are automatically going to go out. I can also do the same thing for those printed invitation letters. It'll print out all of the invitations for all of the guardians who have not yet activated their accounts. So again, this is a way that you can really take activation into your own hands and resend invitations as often as you'd like. It is important to kind of communicate with your school administration so that you know what their invitation plan is. We have some schools that are sending out invitations weekly. We have some schools that probably haven't sent them out since August. So you want to make sure that you're not sending them too often. But you can send them, like I said, whenever it's appropriate for your school and your class. A couple other things that I just want to draw your attention to. We're not going to go into too deep today, but another thing you can do, I just came back to my groups tab, and if I hover over that gear icon again, I can edit my group if I want to edit the name of my group, or if I need to add another staff member to it. If you need to add a whole new group, you can add a whole new group right up here. You can also edit your own profile. I'm going to come up here to my name and click my profile, and then I can edit it if you want to add your profile picture, or if you want to change your name in your profile so that it includes your role at your school, especially if you're not a classroom teacher. Guardians might want to send you a message if you're a school nurse or a school counselor, but they might not know your name. So again, if you're not a classroom teacher, sometimes people find it helpful to add the name of their role in the name of their profile. So I just kind of touched quickly on a few things that you can do that we're not going to go into much depth with today, but there is a OneDrive that JCPS has set up that has a number of resources. And my colleague is going to go ahead and put the link to that in the chat window. So if you want to know how to add a group, or you want more information about how to edit your group, there are literally step-by-step directions in this OneDrive. They're also available, the resources, on our website under resources. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So if you forget how to post news, you can click on posting news, and it's literally going to give you step-by-step directions on how to post news from the web, and then how to post news from mobile. So I know it's a lot of information today, kind of quickly, but that is, we have you covered if you do need to refer back to any of those resources. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we were going to go over how you can increase activation in your class. This is something that, just so you know, we are in communication with your administrators on ways that they can do it for their entire school. But if you want to increase activation in your class, again, this is important because you can post news as much as you want, but it's only going to get to the parents who have activated their account. So we've celebrated them a lot already, but I'll give one more shout out to Kenwood Elementary School last week, and JCPS became our very first school ever to get 100% of their families on School Connects. So they can post any news they want, and they can have confidence that every single one of their families can get it. They can translate it. They can have it read aloud to them. They can message any family they need to in School Connects. So it really does just kind of give you the confidence of knowing that any information you send out is going to get to everyone. So if you want to have that same confidence in your class, here are some things that we have found that have been really successful for some of our highest achieving schools as far as activation. One of them is to enlist your support staff. So if you're a classroom teacher who is working with an instructional assistant, or you work really closely with a school counselor or someone else who, because of the virtual world we're in right now, isn't working with students all day, and they can help you reach out to families who haven't activated their accounts yet, that's a really great kind of resource for you. You can also make it an assignment. So, tell students that their parents have to activate their accounts. If you make it an assignment, they're probably going to do it. You can also post an assignment, or post information, or post some other opportunity in School Connects as a post. So if you shared a video with your class that they really liked, and you tell them that if their parents activate their accounts, they'll be able to see that video again. They're going to go home and they're going to, encourage their guardians to activate their accounts so they can see that video again. So you can kind of make it fun and get your students involved. Another one is just to be consistent. So if guardians know that the best place to reach you is on School Connects, and the best way to get information from you is in School Connects, they're going to activate their account. Sooner or later, they're going to have to. So as long as you're consistent with that messaging, they will find you here. And the last one is to celebrate successes. We've had a lot of teachers and a lot of classes who have had fun with, kind of every goal that they've reached. So if your goal is to hit 75% activation in your class, when you do that, celebrate it. You can post it on social media and tag us, and we'll celebrate you too. But celebrate those successes, publicly. So with your classes, with your schools, everyone's going to be excited for you. And if you do these things, it is really going to make a difference. So I know I am wrapping up on time, but Thank you so much for joining us. Really quick next steps. If you haven't yet, definitely activate your account. Again, if you have any questions with that or questions about anything else, you can always email us. It's support@schoolconnects.com. That is a link that you are welcome to share with anyone. So we are your tech support through and through. If your families have questions, if any of the staff at your school have questions, they can email us at support@schoolconnects.com. And then I'm just going to check with my colleague to see if that OneDrive link is in there. And it is. So if you have any questions, you can always find resources on that OneDrive link. And that is everything we have for you today. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again for being such awesome partners. We've had so much fun with GCPS, and we can't wait to see where you guys go from here.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. I learned a lot about School Connects today. I had heard good things, but I hadn't actually seen the presentation. So that was great. A great tool. I love the translation features, and I'm really glad that you celebrated Kenwood Elementary. I was going to mention that as well, that I just think it's amazing they got 100%. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't like a parent kind of take the lead on that and help, get them the final push maybe?
Their parent liaison, Amy McDonald, has really worked hard with their school counselor and all of their staff. It was a big team effort. But yeah, they all got it together and got everyone on.
Great to hear. Well, I started my teaching career at Kenwood Elementary,
awesome.
and I am excited to see who the next JCPS school is going to be to get that 100%, and make sure to share that on Twitter, and we will celebrate you. So thank you very much, Emily. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.